Hi, this is Jack O, and my category is Humanure pathogens and water pollution. This proposal aims to implement a system that deals with our feces in a more sustainable manner. And I believe that by implementing the composting toilet and omniprocessor in our society, these will act as a substitute for our current toilet systems. According to the United Nations, about 2.6 billion people live without access to sanitary toilets and sewage facilities. The WHO and UNICEF Joint Monitoring Program report that China, India, Indonesia, Nigeria, and Pakistan are the top listed countries with sanitation problems. In many cases, people without sewage systems still practice open defecation, which involves dumping their waste into nearby water sources. This has a deadly effect on the area since bacteria from the feces is often introduced back in the community through the contamination of their water supplies. Because of this problem, there were almost 1.6 million deaths from diarrheal diseases globally in 2017. And statistics show that 70% of diarrhea is caused by consuming food and water contaminated with pathogens. Though sanitation is a problem for most undeveloped countries, when it comes to feces disposal, developed countries have a different issue. Developed countries have well-functioning sewage systems which manage their sanitation. However, environmental problems prevail in developed nations despite having modern sewage treatment plants. While the plants maintain a sanitary environment, they are also destructive towards it. This is mainly because of the sewage sludges created by the treatment plants. Sewage sludge is falsely marketed as a fertilizer to farmers by industrial waste companies due to its high amount of nitrogen and phosphorus. However, the heavy metals present do not completely disappear during the heating or squeezing performed at the treatment plant. Even if farmers are able to save thousands of dollars by using sludge instead of synthetic fertilizer, they pay the price in other ways since their crops absorb these heavy metals. Heavy metals such as cadmium and lead can cause intestinal and kidney damage. What looks like a win-win situation for those involved is actually very damaging and ultimately quite costly in the long run. So, how will the composting toilet and omniprocessor solve the issues experienced by undeveloped and developed countries? When it comes to composting toilets, these are very simple, versatile systems. Only a minimum amount of materials are necessary to build one. You just need plywood, screw, bucket, and a toilet seat. Therefore, it is clear that composting toilets are inexpensive and affordable. Additionally, they don't require a piling system and water, which makes them self-sustaining. You can also make fertilizer from the human waste collected by the toilet after gathering it in a composting bin to be composted. And you can basically grow anything using your own poop. Isn't that nice? Yes, I know, it is disgusting. And I too had doubts when I first encountered this method, but hey, it works. Plus, nobody, including myself, wants to deal with their own poop. But you do have to remember that we have to deal with slightly more stressful problems if the long run if we don't deal with it now. On the bright side, composting bins are simple to make as they just require basic materials. After 6 to 12 months, the contained feces will break down into usual fertilizer. This is a great advantage for people who farm as they will no longer have to purchase synthetic fertilizers. Moreover, it helps the environment since the synthetic fertilizer process emits greenhouse gases. Similarly, omniprocessors are also an effective way to resolve the waste disposal problems faced by undeveloped and developed nations. The omniprocessor is completely self-sufficient as it runs on human feces. The heat that is generated in the combustion chamber creates steam that turns the generator to produce electricity. This electricity is then used to power the whole system, and the surplus electricity can be sent to the utility grid. Furthermore, the omniprocessor is able to evaporate water from the wet waste and turn it into clean drinking water. Even though I know the water from the omniprocessor is safe, my detailed knowledge of the process makes me feel uncomfortable with the thought of drinking this water. However, despite the qualms I and others might experience, these machines are undeniably helpful for countries who have to deal with their clean water shortages. It can be argued that implementing a new toilet system is largely unrealistic since the current sewage system involving treatment plants is more viable in terms of cleanliness, time, and convenience. Additionally, the sludge from the treatment plants can be treated with heat and chemicals to convert it into a usable fertilizer. However, many water industry companies are not adhering to the waste treatment regulations. For instance, Southern Water, a water industry company in the UK, was convicted for dumping hundreds of millions of liters of raw effluent into protected marine environments over a period of years because that was cheaper. Globally speaking, 80% of the wastewater flows back into the ecosystem without being treated, meaning that about 1.8 billion people drink feces contaminated water. An ideal solution for this proposal would be to start installing composting toilets and omniprocessors. However, as students, it is challenging to make this happen right away. So, in order to achieve this ideal solution, some easy-to-use resources that could possibly be utilized are petition websites such as change.org, iPetitions, and the petition site. These websites, which can be accessed by anyone, will allow students to get one step closer towards making this ideal solution into reality. We as students could create distinct petitions for causes such as establishing a club that raises awareness and starts building composting toilets locally, begin educating students on how existing sewage systems and human feces disposal are negatively impacting our society. Next, passing a law that requires people to start using composting toilets. And finally, passing a law that requires local governments to begin funding and building their own omniprocessors. These resources are effective because they allow students to reach a huge audience at little to no cost. Now soon we'll talk in depth about the different types of composting toilets.